Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I'm showing you guys Ottoman rush strategy that I've gotten 100% win rate with so far. Now this strategy includes lots of Janissaries and tons of a bus, but yeah, it's a really strong strategy. I've probably done it about 5-6 times probably, and each time I've won. I don't know how it will go in higher ranks because I am just above the 1000 elo. So I'm not 100% sure how it'll go with higher ranks, but if you're a newer player to the game and you're trying to grind the ranked ladder and get higher up on the ranked ladder, this is certainly a strategy that you should be trying out. So if we have a look, I'm playing as the Ottomans, obviously, and we're playing on New England against Iroquois player. It was a very good game in the end. A little bit of to and fro, but ended up coming out on the top. So as we see here, we're getting the mosque out first thing. When playing with Ottomans, you start with 400 wood every time, and there's a few different variations of this kind of Janissary rush strategy, but I like to do, instead of just pure Janissaries, I like to do a bit of Janissary and a bus. So I recommend getting out your mosque first, and then get some housing out as well. I generally just go with one house, and when you get your mosque, make sure you get your first upgrade, called the millet system. It'll pretty much just speed up the rate at which your villages come out, because obviously when you're playing as Ottoman, villages are for free. And in terms of what we're doing with our explorer here is we're just looking for any free treasures and easy treasures to pick off. If you do see any wood treasures, you definitely want to capitalize on those wood treasures, because wood treasures is going to be huge. It will allow you to get that extra upgrade, because as you see here, we've got a mosque, we've got a house, and we got one of the upgrades, and the second upgrade is 120 wood. We have 100 wood, so if you do find one wood treasure, then that will help you get that upgrade faster. Otherwise, you can always just wait until the second age. And if we take a look at the deck here, this is the deck we're going to be using. In terms of the cards we use, we're going to send in the 3 settlers first in age 1, then you're going to save the rest of your shipments till age 2, and then first thing age 2, I like to send in the 700 wood. Now the 700 wood is going to help us get our 2 barracks out, as well as a ton of housing and the artillery foundry, and we are aging up with 400 wood as well, so that's 1100 wood, so that's a ton of wood. You're going to be able to get plenty of houses out, and then as well as your 2 barracks and your artillery foundry, and that pretty much just allows you to then go into full focus mode on creating a big military. And pretty much this strategy is how I like to do this strategy, is you just make a big military and then you do it all in one push. I know lots of strategies, like whenever you're playing with Russians, the key is just to keep constant pressure on your opponents, but with this strategy, I like to just try to wipe them out in one big go, because most of the time when you're playing as Ottomans, you can get that big army, and your army's going to be a lot stronger than your opponent's. But as we see here, we're just scouting out for any treasures we can get. Any XP treasures like this one are also going to be absolutely vital. And obviously we just have all of our villagers on food, gathering food, trying to get all of our hunts herded in. And we slightly missed the age up queue by a little bit, but that is completely fine. It could not be a lazy tater video without having some miscues. And also on this map, there is tons of these sheep that you can gather and collect up, so you definitely want to be looking out for those, because it's going to help you with your economy and just help you get that food, because you pretty much gather twice as fast as you normally would for anything else. And as you see here, we've just gone with the age up. Now since we've gone with the age up, I send about 5 villages onto wood just to get that extra wood and to get the upgrade as well, and the market out, because I do like to get market upgrades. I know some Janissary rush strategies, people skip out on getting market upgrades, but I like it because it just helps out our eco a ton. And as we see here, he's fighting off this treasure. We're going to be able to steal the treasure pretty easy, and it was nice XP treasure. And we also steal his sheep as well, so man's got absolutely robbed there. And we're starting to reduce some villages onto coin, and in a minute here we're going to be taking all of our villages off the wood. But I like to have about 5 villages on wood, just so I can get my market out and get some of those market upgrades. And yeah, this rush strategy is because there's lots of different variations of the Janissary rush strategy with the Ottomans. This one's just the one, kind of a modified version that I like to do myself because I just find it works better on more occasions compared to some of the other strategies I've tried. But it's just the general gist of it. Like, try the build order. It's generally so. In terms of the build order of cards, we send in the 3 villages in age 1, then in age 2, send in the wood. Then I generally like to send in the 5 settlers, or instead of, if you feel confident with your eco, because I like to get a good eco going as well, because if you get a good eco going, worst case scenario, if the first rush doesn't really work out, then you do have that supporting eco, so you're able to build up pretty well. It'll make your first rush a lot stronger. It might not be quite as quick, just because you have spent a little bit more time getting some of these other eco shipments out, but it will certainly be a lot more solid. But yeah, so you send in 3 settlers, 700 wood, then I generally like to do the 5 settlers, and then it's either between the 3 hussars, 5 janissaries, or a coin treasure. And why you might send the coin treasure in is just to help you get some more obuscons out, because that 700 coin will just absolutely come in clutch when it comes to getting those obuscons out, because we're mainly focusing on getting all of that food production. The other things aren't quite as important at the moment. And as you see, we're sending the wood. We're starting to get our first barracks up here. We've gathered quite a few sheep as well. And we are starting to get the houses. You want to make sure that you don't pop cap yourself. And if we take a look at what we've scouted, we haven't scouted too much, but we've mainly just been focusing on getting all of our treasures around here and getting some sheep as well. But yeah, got the first barracks coming up, and we're getting some more houses out as well. And as soon as you get this first barracks up, you want to immediately start queuing up some janissaries. As you see, we have a nice stockpile of gold and coin as well, so we'll be able to send that in pretty fast. And we got this shipment of wood coming in as well here. So we're going to gather that up, and we'll get out our next barracks, another artillery foundry, and then with the spare wood, we're just going to get out as many houses as we can. And from this strategy, from about now on, we're not going to have anyone harvesting any wood. If we need to get more houses out later, we'll just go to the market and we'll buy the wood with coin. But once you gather this, you're just going to put all of your villages on either coin or on that food. And as you see here, we are queuing up those janissaries, getting them ready to rumble. And in this matchup, we're versing an Iroquois player, and in terms of the matchup, I feel like Ottoman have a lot more quality troops and units. So it's definitely something, if you're able to survive early game Iroquois rush, you're definitely going to get on top. And the good thing about this strategy is very defensive, and it's still reasonably eco-based. That's the reason I like this one over any other Ottoman rush strategy, is just it focuses a little bit more on the economy, and allows you to, if the rush doesn't quite come out how you wanted it to, it allows you to back out, and you already got that eco supporting you, so it is all good. Like sometimes with some of the other Ottoman rush strategies, you do that first push. If that first push isn't successful, then you're kind of done for, because you've kind of used up all of your eco just trying to get that first push up. And as we see, we got the next barracks coming out. We're starting to queue out of both barracks, getting as many janissaries as possible, and getting that artillery foundry up in a minute here as well. And I can't remember which one I sent in next. I sent in the 5 janissaries, so you can either send in the 5 janissaries, 3 hussars, or 700 coin. Obviously these ones are just nice to have, and builds up your military a bit more. But this one, you can send that in. If you already do have your artillery foundry in, and you want to get out some more obuscons fast, then you definitely want to send that one in. But as you see here, we already got 10 janissaries, and we got a ton more on the way. So your army is going to be mainly janissaries. A good majority of the army will be all janissaries. And then you will have some obuscons, just as many obuscons as you can get in there. And kind of in terms of what the eco looks like, I generally like to have twice as many people on food than I do on coin, just because the janissaries do cost a lot of, I think that's 75 food, 25 coin. And we get most of our obus guns out when we do send them that gold shipment. And potentially, instead of, like, if you get the chance, or if you decide that you want to get one, you can get a trade post as well. It will just help you get your shipments out faster, which will allow you to obviously get all these cards out a little bit faster. It kind of just depends on what kind of treasures you have gathered, and whether you're deciding to get that market up, or whether you do just wish to go for a trade post instead of a market. As you see here, we already have a solid mass of 24, and we got some more coming out, and some more obus guns. If we take a look at our body down here, I had actually played this guy a few games before the this game, and he'd beaten me every time, because I was trying to play Portugal, and I suck at Portugal. I don't know if they're just not a great civ anymore, or if I just really suck at the game, but this guy was just rushing me off the bat every time. It looks like in this one he didn't go, I think he focused a little bit more on his economy, because I don't know what happened here, but it's just not as big of an army as he has had in the previous games. But we are looking hella solid. The eco is looking really good if you compare the scores there as well. Our eco is still thriving. And one really good thing about Ottomans as well is when you're setting up for a rush, you don't need to worry at all about villager queues, because obviously they do it themselves. You just need to make sure you're not getting yourself pop capped. And you just need to focus on getting that army out. As you see, we have 3 obus guns now and 28 Janissaries. And it's kind of around this point, depending on how you're feeling, you could even just push in with this. But I generally, with this strategy, wait a little bit longer and then push in. And it actually happens that he decides that he wants to push up and put some pressure on me, but I already have this big army that I'm able to defend it with, so it's not too many worries about that. And we did send in the 700 coin, so we're going to gather that up, and that will just help us get out those obus guns. And the good thing about obus guns is they're very, very strong against any infantry. And it'll just help you, like, the Janissaries are good against any kind of cavalry and stuff, and most other infantry. They're just a pretty solid unit overall, but the obus guns will just help you clean up all that infantry. And most of the time in the early game, most people have a very infantry based army, so they're very handy, and it'll just help you clean up a lot faster. But if we take a look here, he's starting to push up a little bit. We keep getting our houses out, and to get that house out, we just bought it with some coin. Bought the wood with the coin. And as you see here, we've collected all of that up, and we have lots of coin spare, so we're getting out tons of obus guns. And the good thing about this is you've kind of countered any sort of cavalry with your Janissaries and any sort of infantry with your obus guns. The only weakness to this army really is if they have a ton of artillery, but since you're kind of rushing in the early game, unless they went for a fast fortress play, you should be fine. And if they did decide to go fast fortress, that's the kind of game that you want to push up earlier and not give them a chance. But this one, I could tell that this guy was not going fast fortress, because he would have already been fast fortress by now. So yeah, so we start to push this army back, but I do notice this cavalry coming along the side here. So I try to put my Janissaries on top of them, because I kind of knew where he was going. He was trying to get out the back here to do some raiding. And we actually, with these barracks, I try to spawn the guys on them, on top of the Kenya horsemen. It doesn't quite work out as I wanted it to, but we do manage to fend them off still pretty well. They do spawn on top there, and we get some shots off. I do believe we take out a few of them, maybe 1 or 2. And we did get the next shipment in here, as you can see. This is kind of when I would recommend just sending in the 3 hussars, and at about this time, you just want to go in and push. My push got slightly delayed, obviously, because this guy pushed me a little bit, so we had a slight delay on our push. I probably would have about now gone in, because we have a total army of 50 with 42 Janissaries and the 9 obus guns. That's actually more than 50. Quick maths. But yeah, so that's a pretty solid army, and there's not a lot your opponent's going to be able to do about that unless they've prepared. Like, the only real solid counter to this, as I said before, was some solid artillery. But when you're attacking at this point of the game, not many people are going to have like much artillery to counter it. And as we see here, this guy's pretty relentless with his raiding. I definitely should have just left a few Janissaries over here, but I was kind of just waiting to push once I got this Hussar shipment in. But I kind of moved my villages out, and I just sent my Janissaries up here. This is definitely one mistake I made, is I should have just pushed away, I should have just pushed his base right now. It's pretty perfect timing for it. And we do actually get pop capped, but I believe I was about to get out some housing. I just got delayed with that little push there, as his cavalry does manage to escape around the side here. Tries to get some more raids off here. I don't know if he picks off the villager. And one thing that you can always do if you are getting raided right in your base, often you're able to send villagers out like I do here to like the edge of the map to start gathering some of these hunts over here, because often they're not going to notice it. They're so focused on looking for raids around your base that if you send villagers way out to the side here, they're not going to notice it. And this is where I'm starting to push into the base of my opponent. You see we have this huge mass of Janissaries and stuff. And I do have these Hussars around the side that I was going to flank around here while I pushed into the middle, or into his main base here. But yeah, certainly something like, I don't know how well it would work in higher ranks, because higher ranks, people are very aware of what's going on, but something certainly you can do in lower ranks is often you can get away with sending villagers to just random spots on the map to gather hunts, and quite often they're not going to notice. Like, I wouldn't send all of your military there, but so all of your villagers there to gather, but you can always send a few because it'll always help. We managed to take out all of those tomahawks there quite comfortably, and also the range on the obelisk guns is absolutely, like, it's insane, it's crazy. They got some solid range, so it'll help you pick off lots of dudes pretty easy. And we just take away the villagers from the back of the base here because he's just going to keep trying to get us. And we send in the 5 Janissaries, or we queue up 5 Janissaries, and we begin to start to push in here as well in a minute. But if we look at our army, we have a big army. It's 50 plus here, and we got our beautiful cavalry. As we see, we're flanking around the cavalry. I generally like to use this 3 cavalry to flank and like attack somewhere else, and try to raid some villages and just keep them distracted while we move this huge army in through the front of their base. As this guy's still desperate to try to get some raids, I believe I send these guys out the back here to get rid of those 2 horsemen. And if we look at this guy's army, it's nowhere near the size of our current army. We managed to get some kills on some villagers over here, and they kind of get pushed back there. And we send these Janissaries to kill the horsemen over there, but now we're moving into his base, and he gets actually distracted with his main army, decides that he wants to go try to take out these guys, where he definitely should have tried to deal with this huge army out the front of his base. And we had the next shipment in. I kind of just got lazy and decided to send in a coin trickle because I was pretty confident in the end here that we had this guy. But we get some pickings off on his villager there, and we move our cavalry around the back of the base. And we also idled up his stuff, so he's not getting any food income here. He's relying all on wood and stuff, so he's not really going to be able to get much other military out here either. So we just siege down his town hall, because as soon as his town hall's down, we're going to end up beating him in the long run anyways, so he's kind of done for. So we take down the town hall, and then move into the back of his base. He kind of had a weird base area, because I think he was trying to like follow the herds with his base, but he just didn't really herd them in that well. And now we just move in with our main army, get some pickings here. As you see, these Obeliscons are just animals. They're absolutely shredding. And one thing that you always got to make sure you do when you are attacking someone is you need to make sure that you're sending in all of these units, like, and just keep making more units to supply the army. Even if you think that you're on top, like right here, you just got to keep sending in as many troops as possible and just stay on top. And if we look at the Janissaries, they have 210 health, which is quite tanky for an age 2 unit, so they're very strong. And compared to these guys, these guys have about 100, bit over 100. So they're very strong, and since there's only archers left, we decide to just get right on top of them and start meleeing them and get the Obeliscons in the back, just some support fire, absolutely shredding. And we're also keeping the villagers idle, because I think he's still worried about us raiding in the back here, so he doesn't really go back for those resources. So that's the good thing about the raiding with those 3 hussars, is it's going to just idle up your opponent. And we back out a little bit, doing a little bit of microing with the Obeliscons. But we're just kind of regathering, because we don't want to use up too many of our dudes. We don't want to, yeah, we need to regather, just regather strength. We turn around on them, and we're going to just run through these guys at the moment. But if you just look at those hits, it's like 3 hits take out one of these. It's insane. These things, Obeliscons are so underrated. If you get Obeliscons and Janissaries, you're fine. Like, you don't need to worry about any cavalry, because you can just defend the Obeliscons with the Janissaries. This is just easily one of my favorite builds. As you see here, we have some more supporting army coming through the back. But yeah, this is definitely, like, if you're someone that is trying to get good at the game and kind of move up the ranks ladder a bit more, this is definitely a strategy you should try out. As you see, we're in the end here, we're pretty much double his score. But it's a really easy strategy. Like, all you really need to worry about is getting your shipments in right, and just getting that army queue out, and most of the economy is done by itself. Like, this is just a really easy strategy. But anyways, guys, if you did enjoy that video, please make sure to like and subscribe. It really does mean a ton. But I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.